I now want to introduce our speaker, Jacob Poremba. Jacob Poremba is a citizen of Israel and a graduate of Hebrew University and the Weizmann Institute of Science. Before retirement, he was a software development executive. Since retirement, he has done a great deal of research on the cultural conditions of Holocaust survivors living in Israel and their contributions to the state of Israel. After retirement, Jacob and his wife Rachel returned to St. Louis in early 2018 to be close to their sons, Dr. Arik and Ben, their families, and their 4 grandchildren. I'm again pleased to introduce Jacob Poremba, who will share his family story. Don't give up hope. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Thank you all for attending this Zoom meeting, and thank you, St. Louis Holocaust Museum and Learning Center, for organizing it and inviting me to share my mother's story with all of you. There's nothing more important, I think, than telling the stories of our parents, survivors, and the non-survivors to the young generation. We don't want this horrible event of the Shoah to vanish away with the still living survivors that are still with us. As Professor Ben Zion Dinur, the first chair of Yad Vashem, said in the early 50s, in 1955 or 6, if we wish to live, to make it life to our offspring, if we believe that we are to pave the way to the future, then we must, first of all, not to forget. This is, I think, the main message. What I'm going to share with you right now is a simple story of caring and loving each other. It looks very simple to us, but during the Shoah time, it was almost a mission impossible to keep humanity and friendship. And this story is all about it. So now I'm going to share the presentation with you. Okay, so the story of an autograph book that was made at the Gross Sarne Concentration camp for my mother by her fellow prisoners. I called it Do Not Lose Hope, and in the following slides, you will understand why I gave it this name. The inscriptions in the autograph book reveal the state of mind of all the prisoners that wrote in at the camps where my mother was. Their personal feelings, their hopes, and obviously their fears. Before we go there, I just want to show all of you my family, my mother's history. My mother, Friedl, was born in 1916 in a very small town in Germany called Königshutte. It's now called Chorzów in Poland. She was one of 9 children to my grandparents, Louis and Clara, that was sent to Auschwitz and never came back. What I'm going to show you right now is the front cover of that autograph book, or the book that was made by the prisoners. As you can see it, this was a book that the prisoners made from different type of materials that they were able to find and procure in the camp itself. The pages are made from unprocessed paper, and the cover is made from wood and tin and is decorated with a Star of David and the inscriptions RAB Lager. RAB, I'll explain to you in a few slides what that means. RAB Lager, Gross Sarne, 1942. Pages are filled with poems, dedications, memories, and words of farewell. And they were written in 4 different languages, in Polish, in German, in Dutch, and in Hebrew. And in some cases, the inscriptions in the book is the last written testimony of the prisoners. So my mother accompanied this book with her when she was transferred from Gross Sarne to Gross Maslowitz and then to a Freiburg camp. The book had undergone a lot during the Holocaust time and the journeys afterwards. She preserved it, and she preserved this precious autograph book through the years after liberation, but never told anyone. We didn't know about it. When she was over 80 years old, she took the book out of the closet where it was hidden and handed it to her youngest grandson, Ben Poremba, my son. The pages had begun to yellow and crumble. As you can see in this page, crumbling and yellowing, and this is the original page from the book. We understood that if the book were to remain in our possession, it would not last for much longer. After her death, we were left with many questions regarding the content and the nature of the book. So Ben decided that the only suitable, appropriate place for this document will be Yad Vashem in Jerusalem. And this is what we did. We donated it to Yad Vashem. The research performed by Yad Vashem using their database had discovered extensive information about my mother's personal story and the experience of Jews from the area during the Holocaust time. Again, we can see that book, now you understand those flecks in the book, the wood and tin and the decoration that was made, the Magen David on the left-hand side. On the right upper side, it's not a dollar sign, it's the name of the lager. Gross Sarne lager, RAB lager, 1942, Gross Sarne. So, as we all know, the Nazis ran more than 44,000 camps, ghettos, and other sites of detention, persecutions, forced labors, and murder sites during the Holocaust. Millions of Jewish people were imprisoned and abused in those various types of Nazi camps. Among them, as we all know, ghettos, collection and transit camps. Collection and transit camps in German is called Umschlagplatz, where inmates were collected and temporarily held and then routed to main labor or extermination camps. Labor camps, concentration camps where all captive had performed unpaid hard physical slavery labor for factories or establishments that produced goods for the German war effort. And extermination camps, camps that deferred the rest because it was a systematic extermination of arrivals by gas. And two others, well known for their horrible things, Auschwitz and Majdanek, were combined, concentration, extermination, and labor camps as well. Now, where is Gross Sarne? Gross Sarne is located in the Upper Silesia area. This was, as if someone, if we all know or don't, Silesia is considered the heart of the steel industry in Europe. In the Upper Silesia, Gross Sarne was a very small little village. The Germans collected this place among other 13 places and made it as a forced labor camps known as RAB, Reich Auto Bahlager. Among them, there were Blechhammer, which is known also as Auschwitz IV, Ottmut, Niederkirche, Gross Bunzlau, Gross Maslowitz, Freiburg, and more. So now we come to the pages itself. As you can see here, this is a page that in the book, exists in a book made by one of the fellow inmates in the book in March 1942 by Guta Penska. The researchers of Yad Vashem thinks that she tried to draw my mother's face. This is how it looks like, the original page. The next page that I want to share with you is a page that is written in some languages. You can see here Deutsch, German or Dutch, and then you can see also English. And what's written here by David Leerens is, I stayed for a short time only. My single and simple request is that you will remember me. David Leerens wrote it on September 28, 1942. Research of Yad Vashem database revealed that Leerens was a businessman from Amsterdam. He was deported to this camp and his property was confiscated. 3 months later, David Leerens was sent to Auschwitz and never came back, was murdered there. That dedication was written in Polish, and it says, in 1942, Samek Browner wrote, "Clench your fist, bare your teeth, walk under the winds that is hitting you in the face, march the sound of music like true fighters, real soldiers, that is the straight path of the lonely." Samek Browner survived the Shoah and rebuilt his life in New Jersey. He and my mother kept in a very, very close contacts after that. They were liberated until his last day of life. This one is in Hebrew letters, and the one of who knows Hebrew, who writes Hebrew, cannot not see the wonderful handwriting of this few words in Hebrew. It's written, "Hashirot ha'elu yehe leot ulemishmeret ulemazkeret." In Hebrew, will those lines be as a sign of guardianship and memento? Written in Gross Sarne in August 1942. That guy that you see on your right side is my mother's little brother, Emmanuel. He joined the camp in March 42 when he was 18 years old. And he wrote to her a dedication in her book. "One who has never eaten his bread at faraway place, one who has never sat on his bed at night filled with grief. He does not know you, heavenly force, your brother Emmanuel from Block 13." And that's the original dedication in the book. You can see here the name Emmanuel and Block 13, written in March 1942. 2 years later, in the Freiburg camp, my sister and brother were separated, and he wrote again. And he wrote, this time he wrote, "One, on the day of this tragic separation, although a heavy blow has landed upon us again, always stay joyful. After being together for 3 years, fate has turned and separated us. May you marry to see your brothers again. And now, my dear Friedl, do not lose hope." Remember the name of this presentation that I gave. It was "Do Not Lose Hope." And I think it's very, very actual even in those days. "Please continue hoping that we will meet again. Never forget you, brother, just as you forever preserve the memory of our parents. Cheer up from me, who owes you much gratitude, who will never forget you, Manik." Manik was his nickname that my mother used to call him. And this is his dedication, the second one. You can see the difference on the handwriting between the first one and the second one. And here you can see the name Manik in it. So this hope of the sister and brother to see each other again indeed came to reality. They were reunited after the war, and all 4 siblings, survivors, made Aliyah and rebuilt their life and never separated again. Here they are. My mother, Friedl, Emmanuel, her brother, and the 2 twin sisters, Herta and Ruth. Rosa Danziger, another inmate, a fellow inmate, wrote in Gross Sarne in April 1942, "If you want to live a happy life, consider the happiness of others, because all the happiness that we give comes straight back to our hearts in memory of our good days together in Gross Sarne camp." Rosa Danziger. And here, this dedication was written by a guy that did not survive. And what we can see here, what is very special, is the fans, and the hands are in here looking for help or for peace or forever. And Moon is watching them with the heart in here. Another one you can see here written in German, the leaf with the peace dove on it. And look at this handwriting in German by a fellow prisoner. And this one in 1942, written by Rosa Watkins, that did not survive. This one is in Hebrew again, and it's written here, Al tiyeh berkat hediot kal beinecha, meaning that you have to appreciate every single blessing or every single help or every single good word that each and everyone is telling you, written in 1942. And this one from 1943 is very special because of the color that was used. We don't know, and even in Yad Vashem, they were hard time finding what's the source of this color in this book in here. And it's written here by one of the survivors that did not make it in that short time that, and he wrote it to Friedl, to my mother. In that short time that we were together, I met a wonderful person and I fell in love. I wish that we know each other in better time and we will have the opportunity to walk hand in hand. I'm so thankful forever and love forever and remember. This one, the decoration with big letters. This one is a farewell poem that one of her friends, Friedl Gutman, wrote in Gross Sarne camp in 1943. And she writes, "Be strong, my heart will cope silently. A deep sadness clutches my soul. Remember, God wants this. He hints and frees, and even if his hand struck you mightily, he will not place more on your shoulders than you can bear. He knows what the best is for you. He knows, only he knows that you are suffering. So carry your pain with strength, for what benefit is there in crying? Be strong, halt the flow on your tears. The tears just accompany your pain to the fire of blazing grief. If you drop one tear after the other, and if you cry year after year, the day will still come when you will see that everything was for a blessing." A keepsake from your friend in the camp, Friedl Gutman. So out of the people that wrote dedications in the album, the research in Yad Vashem found out that only 12 of them, there were almost 39, 40 people, 12 survivors were located. All other had been murdered and their names are commemorated in the Shoah Victims Registry, what is called Hall of Fame, Bet HaShemot in Yad Vashem. This is the Hall of Fame, part of the Hall of Fame in Yad Vashem, which whoever was in Jerusalem, I guess, know it. Okay, now I'm going to show you a very special slide that was found in the book but was not part of it. Please pay careful attention to it because it's a very, very strong view by an artist that is unknown. And feel free to jump in if you want to ask questions about it because I think this is a very, very special thing that we can see. And here you can see crematorium, people standing on the line in here, getting into the crematorium, the ashes are out, Nazis are washing bodies, and here you can see a gas chamber, other bodies and bodies here, airplanes coming, wishes of the Jewish people that the Allies will come and bomb those places and rescue them. And in the middle here, I'm putting it in face, you can see the Nazi dictator Adolf Hitler. As I said, this was found in the book, but not as part of the pages. So someone stick it in, and we don't know exactly who made it. Liberation Day is coming, the Liberation Day 1945. After the liberation, the Allied military commands decided to document the details of survivors and non-survivors. The collection project began. This collection project that began in those times were the basic for the Nuremberg evidence later on. The collection project began of records of individuals within the camps. Primarily consists of administrative records such as reports, correspondence, and name lists. My mother was chosen by the American military to take part of it, to take part of this important project, and she was transferred to the city of Stuttgart in southern Germany. My father followed her immediately, and he relocated to one of the, what was known the displaced person camp, the DP camps, and started working for UNRWA, for the United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Army. This is my father here in that place. And in 1946, they got married in the city of Stuttgart, my father and my mother. We found in the book itself, in the back cover page, as you can see, this is the back cover page. We found this autograph of their marriage day, my mother, my father, and her little brother, Emmanuel. And 2 years later, I was born. And after my birth, we made Aliyah to Eretz Israel, following her 3 surviving siblings, my mother, father, and myself. The original album is today presented to the public that are visiting Yad Vashem in a very central part of the museum. Thank you very much.
Jacob.
Yes.
Was your father in the same concentration camp? Where did she actually meet your father?
Yeah, that's a very good question. She met my father in the very same concentration camp, and actually, we know that she owes her life, and many others owes their life to my father. He actually did so many things to save and rescue the life of other people that this is especially another story that we can tell. And yeah, he fell in love with her in the concentration camp. And then when she was transferred to Stuttgart, he followed her and ran after her.
Thank you.
Jacob, when your mother gave the book to your son, did she give any reason why she received it? Was she totally surprised? Did the people that contributed say why they did that?
Well, she told us that the people, she was very, very much kind of a leader in this concentration camp for the others. They admired her very much, and they actually risked their life in doing it. Not saying about her keeping it for many years and going from one camp to the other, but this is something that they made out of their admire to my mother, and to made it handmade in the camp.
How is she able to take it from one camp to the other?
We don't know. That's one of the questions that we keep on asking ourselves. And she took it from one place to the other, risking her life and risking others' life, and she kept it.
It's amazing.
Since Ben is on the call, I was wondering if he could speak about just the moment of her giving it to him and what that was like.
Sure.
I think that, I am the youngest grandson, and I think that I was maybe in 13 or 14 years old, maybe even younger than that, and just curious, and spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and I was very inquisitive, and I wanted to know a lot of stuff. And I think at that point, I was telling my grandmother that I'm writing a book about our family's history. Not writing a book, writing a paper about our family's history. And she just, I think, pulled the book out and started talking to me about it. I don't recall exactly what she said. I think I was too young and kind of maybe not understanding what I had in my hands. But that was the exchange. The craziest thing is that she let me keep it. It wasn't like, here, look at it, take some pictures, or she said, take it and keep it somewhere safe. She just basically handed it. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy that I remember carrying it to school and doing a presentation, and probably not, you know, it was in my backpack and in between soccer practice or something. It's crazy that these things survived, and you know, we were able to, you know, at some point find its way to stay in your place. So.
Then how long after that did you share it with your parents?
Well, I think I shared it with my dad. I think I was writing this paper, and I think I showed it to my dad, and he had no clue that existed. Matter of fact, he thought it was fake, I think, at first. I mean, it took some time for my dad to confront my grandmother about it. She didn't really speak much about her experiences. She had one sister that was a little bit more talkative, and I don't even think that the sisters knew of the existence of the book. And so, Abba, remind me if this is correct. I think you had to corroborate with Manek, with Uncle Manek, that this book was actually what it was, what it represented.
Yeah, this is the only my uncle Emmanuel Manek that was in one of the camps with her. I went to him and I confronted with him, asking him to verify that this is a real thing that was made during their stay at the camps, and he said yes, he remembered it. I must say, and some of you that had grow up in a house of survivors know that my father, for instance, did not talk a whole lot. I mean, he was very silent. He didn't share almost nothing with us, and everything that I know about his past family, came from research that I made later on. And my mother, when I asked my mother, why didn't you share it with me? Why didn't you tell me about it? Why didn't you let me look at it when I was a child? She said, I don't want you to go through the same things that we had in the past. This is why I've kept it, and I did not want to show it to anyone.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? How big was the book that she was able to hide it?
Actually, it was fairly long. I would say about
like the size of a book?
It's the size of an iPad, like this.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
I don't know how she kept it. I don't know how she hid it. Frankly, I don't know. It's something that we could not figure out, and a lot of things were made, a lot of questions were, raised up in Yad Vashem. Unfortunately, they started the research after my mother passed away, so we had not had anyone to ask. And my uncle Emmanuel, in those times, were not very healthy, so to say. So we don't know a whole lot.
Jacob, where did everybody settle in Israel?
When my mother and my father brought to Israel, they reunited with her other sisters and brother, and they never separated until their last day of life. They lived in a very small town in Israel, not far away from Tel Aviv, and this was amazing. They did not do anything by themselves. They always went together to every place. If there was one day that they didn't see each other, they were like crazy, going crazy.
Abba,
can I make a comment about the book?
Sure.
First of all, it's just an amazing find. I can't even imagine how you felt when you found out about it.
Yeah.
The thing that, among many other things, the thing that impressed me the most was the different handwritings in the different languages, showing they had Jews there from everywhere in Europe. And it's really amazing, and I congratulate you that you shared this find with the world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
I
so
think
much.
this is one of the things that we were all also very amazed from the fact that in this camp, in those 13 camps, people were brought from different places in Europe just to help the German war effort. Yeah, I think my other son, Arik, wanted to ask a question, right, Arik?
Yeah, I'm here. This is Arik. I'm the other son. So I missed part of the presentation, but maybe you can say a couple of words about Savta's dedication and work with Holocaust survivor after she made Aliyah in Israel. We remember as young kids and grandkids how many people walk in and out of Savta's house. So maybe you can say a couple of words if you didn't.
Sure.
Okay.
So my mother, when she was young, before she was captured and moved to the camp, started to study law. So when she was really, of course, the American military took her to work on the project with her because of knowledge in the German language and the German laws and things like this. When we all went to Israel and the reparation agreement started in 1956, she dedicated herself to help other people to get reparation payments and other things, to find relatives and to find things. She did everything and not taking even one penny from anyone. Many law offices and many people made a lot of money out of this reparation project. And I always remember that I asked her, why are you working for free? And she said, I owe so much to so many people that I'm not willing to take even one penny from anyone. And I think she helped hundreds of people with this effort. One thing that I would like to mention you is during the, that I remember, during the 70s, I remember that she used to go to Tel Aviv to meetings, and she never told us about everything, nothing about it. And we figured out by mistake at one time that she was part of a negotiating team with the German government to start paying money to people that were captured and was put in labor camps for their years of working, because they worked in a slavery method. They worked so hard, they didn't get paid, and they didn't get any surveillance paying for this one. This is what she made, and she.
Can I comment about this, Abba?
Sure, go ahead.
So I'm going to say a few things about that, because I've spent a little bit of time studying this subject, which is complex. So when the German government and the Israeli government agreed on reparation payments, the process, there were essentially three different ways in which individuals could apply for reparations. Reparations for essentially loss of life, loss of relatives, and Germans as they are, they had to put a way to measure loss. Reparations for that money that would be used for rehabilitation, physical, mental, and psychological. And the third one was reparations for labor produced, labor performed under very, very difficult circumstances. So if survivors, worked at a manufacturing facility as part of the German industry, but did not get paid for it, of course, we worked under slave labor, there was a way to figure out the amount. That application process was extremely complex, nothing short of pages upon pages upon pages of questions. It involved documentation and evidence production. I mean, it was really, it would have taken, it took real lawyers with real law offices with real investigators to produce those applications successfully on behalf of their clients. And my grandmother's had herself and a little typewriter, and there would be people coming in and out. And I think that her success rate was incredible in that she was very, very skilled in how to fill those applications. I don't think that she's ever been back to Germany, but she's definitely created relationship with law offices inside Germany that helped with the process. So pretty amazing stuff. The story that I was going to tell was my grandmother until I was going to say until the day she died, but she suffered from Alzheimer's during her last few years. But prior to that, she was still very much involved in German culture. She was subscribed to German magazines and things of that nature, and she religiously and voraciously read their Stern magazine, which would be the equivalent of the New Yorker, if you will. And one day read an article. This is already well into the 90s, so she's past 80 at that point, and she read an article about a young entrepreneur, German industrialist that was receiving this award, and realized that her and some of the people that she knew worked for that gentleman's father during the war. Worked meaning enslaved by that person, and realized or found out that that person had never contributed to reparation money, and basically wrote a letter to the editor of Der Stern, and saying that with 4 or 5 other women, friends of hers, survivors, and that started a conversation and then a negotiation. I think that person, that industrialist, that person came to Israel and negotiated, and that these 4 older ladies, Holocaust survivors, negotiated a deal under the protection of Israeli security in a nondescript coffee shop in Tel Aviv, reaching an agreement that he would, contribute large sums of money towards reparations. So that's kind of a little bit, in a nutshell, a little story about our grandmother, Savta.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, she was invited to go to Germany and to give some lectures in research institutions and in government, in universities, and she refused. She never went back to Germany, never. She spoke German. She had a lot of German culture, but she never went back to Germany.
I don't know if I heard where she was born. Where was the family from?
From a little village, from a little town called Königshütte.
In Germany.
Which is now
today it's part of Poland because of the changes that were made in the borders in Europe. But when she was born, it was part of Germany.
Uh-huh.
I think we have time for one more question.
Hey, Dan. Okay. One more question.
Really not a question, but a comment. I mean, your story is beautiful. It is something that we would love to do more, probably, in a virtual way. And I think that, it's just kind of a remarkable and a very different take on everything. So let's just try and, make that connection and do this more. And now that we have this virtual connection, it seems like really important to make that happen.
And this presentation has been recorded and will be put up on our YouTube site. So if you missed the beginning, or if you want to invite other people to hear it, they will have that opportunity. Speaking of that site and our website, I would encourage all of you, because I can invite you now to come to I would like to encourage you to go on our website, hmlc.org, and our YouTube channel, especially to hear survivor testimony, hear the survivors' experiences in their own words, and also a new addition. We have videos of a segmented tour of our permanent collection. So again, I can't invite you to the museum, but come see our permanent collection on video and do hear and learn from those voices of the people that experienced the Holocaust, including other witnesses, liberators, etc. Let me thank the Shinim, Lehitraot. I hope you'll be able to come back here. I guess I may have to come see you there. And of course, I really want to thank Jacob Poremba for sharing his family story. And I want to thank all of you for joining us this afternoon for this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you
everybody.
all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.